Hi, I'm Sandy Thompson. I'm an advisor with the Creative Entrepreneurs Club and I'm artistic director of a theatre company and I'm a filmmaker. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking to a lot of different people, giving them support and advice in the creative and cultural sector as the whole situation that we're in has rolled out. And what I wanted to do is just come on really quick and do a very short guide to the things that are coming up for people, where if you are a freelancer and potentially you have no savings and you've lost your income streams because of you've lost whatever it is that makes you money because of coronavirus or lockdown. The question people have been coming back to is like, what do you do in that situation? So here are 4 very basic steps that I think are helpful when you're in that situation. So first of all, one, reduce the money that's going out. Now, that might seem really obvious, but if you have a mortgage, you can apply for a mortgage holiday for a few months to stop paying mortgage for a month. Rent, the evictions that would normally happen for non-payment of rent have been suspended by the government just now, so talk to your landlord if you're paying rent. You can also talk to things like your credit card about breaks in paying. Well, whilst you may still have to pay the interest at the end, you can probably take a payment break with a lot of your credit cards. The same with things like overdrafts. There are a number of different offers around there just now. Certain banks are not charging interest on overdrafts just now and are extending people's overdrafts. And things like council tax, government managed bills are also being put on breaks just now. So have a look around and see if there's anything that you're currently paying for that you don't have to pay for. 2, look at what might be available in terms of other funds and monies to you. Again, it sounds really obvious, but often we think of ourselves in one way. We don't think of ourselves as a diamond with lots of facets, and all of those facets can be funded. But who you are, where you live, what you do, where you went to college, any one of those things might be a facet that at the moment is running emergency funding that you can apply for. So local authorities have hardship and welfare funds, and you'll be able to access that through their web pages, depending on where you're based. When it comes to sector specific, your sector might be offering emergency and hardship funds. So across the arts at the moment, for example, on Monday the 20th, the Creative Scotland Bridging bursaries reopened for applications, but that's across all art forms, whereas your own specific art form may well be managing funds. So go look at your local sector unions for information and stuff there. Finally, if your employment is that you run on sequential PAYE contracts, the government just extended the period of time where backwards to the 1st of March, where so if you were working with somebody on the 1st of March on a PAYE contract, and that contract was due to end sometime, say in March, you are still allowed to go back to that employer and ask them to furlough you. Furlough is where the government reimburses the company to pay you 80% of the wage that you were on. And those payments can run all the way into July now. So go and check if you have outstanding employment contracts that would make you eligible to be furloughed as an employee. So 3, have a think about if there's any way to change your circumstances. Again, I know that sounds magic wand, but if you think about it, we normally sell a certain skill set about ourselves, and that's what we think of ourselves professionally as. So I'm a theatre director. That's a job that normally involves being in a room with lots of people. But part of my skill set is also that I'm an editor and a dramaturg. So I have pivoted what I'm doing so that I'm doing a lot of work that's about working with writing and talking to people on Skype and online just now. So if you think about it, it's not just your skill set professionally. Maybe there are other things that you have that are things about what you do which you can at the moment charge for or volunteer within a bartering system. So have a think about that, because the way in which people are engaging with each other is really fluid and changing just now. And whilst that's really upsetting and worrying in one way, what it also is it's a window of opportunity in another way, because you get to decide who you are and what you do in this particular situation, and professionally no one will hold that against you right now, because we are all scrambling to work out what's going on at the moment. The other thing that might mean around circumstances is, obviously it's really important to be clear about who's in your isolation bubble in lockdown. But I've spoken to people who are going through a process of isolation, self-isolation, that allows them to join, to go to the parents' house or to join households with people by staying in solid isolation for 14 days, and then establishing, what those links are. But also, obviously, when you made your isolation bubble, if you're like anybody else, you probably did that in quite you maybe did that in a gradual way when you worked it out. So have a look at that bubble that you're in and go, is there anything within there that makes your living situation easier? It doesn't mean you should take any risks, and it doesn't mean you should engage with anybody new outside your isolation bubble, but it's worth looking at that as something that's not just a group of people that happened by accident, for example, if you're in a flat share. Fourthly, map the network that you have. Now, that's not just professionally, but in your life. Just map the network, map the people that you've got, and then go and talk to them, because opportunities are given to people, not to CVs, especially at this point in time. And there's something very useful about being able to go and just talk to the network that you're part of, because people want to talk, they have the time, they are also keen for a bit of conversation and support, so it's an open door at the moment. But also what that does is that evolves ways in which maybe you're not managing all of this on your own, maybe you're managing this with someone else. So that's 4 very basic things that I think that you can do right now today to make a difference if you find that you are a freelancer who has lost their income and the way that they make income and don't have savings to fall back on. If you want any other information on the funds I'm talking about or some one-to-one support, you can find me and a whole bunch of other advisors on www.wearecec.co.uk.